Well, hello everyone. I am Reverend Rita Joie. Welcome to Getting to Know You, a program of the Interfaith Ministers Alliance, where we get to know a bit about each other in 11 minutes or less. Each month, we will feature two members of the Interfaith Ministers Alliance, and our guest today is Reverend Alex Reegan. Reverend Alex is an ordained interfaith minister through One Spirit Interfaith Seminary. He currently lives in New Jersey with his lovely wife, Doris, and their three feline family members, Nigel, Shohei, and Gretel. Reverend Alex and I are the co-founders of the Interfaith Ministers Alliance. I have known Alex for over 10 years. His new book, What Needs to Be Said, will be released on May 2nd through Hay House. Congratulations, Alex. So let's get started. So, welcome, Alex.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited that we're doing this.
Me too. So let's jump right in with our three questions.
You got it.
So the first one is, please briefly describe how you came to the interfaith path.
That's such a great question. So I think, for me, I grew up in a very evangelical Christian household, and that felt right to me as a child just because it's what I knew. But as I got a little older, it started to feel like this wasn't quite right for me. There had to be sort of a little more expansion out beyond that. After, coming out in my 20s and some fracturing around some of that, I kind of just decided, like, I don't want any of it. I'm going to sort of back away from all sort of belief in anything, even to the point where I felt like I was an atheist for a while. And then I began to find new things. Like I began to find Abraham Hicks and astrology and other channelings and tarot and all of these different things that were these pathways to God all of a sudden, that I realized, like, oh, these are different ways to God. And then I began to sort of expand out beyond that. I started studying shamanism and other indigenous processes like that, the Akashic records, all these different things and modalities, and I think spiritual pathways. And before long, I ended up finding One Spirit, which really excited me, because the whole premise of that is that you are an interfaith minister, and interspiritual also is what they call it. And you really are learning all of the different religions and all of these different, and not all of them, of course, you couldn't learn all of them probably, but a broad spectrum of the religions, and really coming to life with a more sort of multi-faith view of the world. And the thing I loved about it was that I started to uncover that underneath all of the surface level things about all of the different religions, there was this river that ran through them all that had this same sort of calling and energy of oneness and love, and loving your neighbor and loving each other and the earth and just all of that stuff. And I was really moved to come to see that in so many of the world religions, and even smaller practicing religions.
Beautiful. So what has been being an interfaith minister meant to you, and how has it influenced or impacted your life?
I mean, I think it's been such an influence, because not only in the idea of ministry itself, which I definitely have done some of and was, tapered off a little as COVID hit for many of us. I was doing a lot of preaching and teaching before all that happened. And then that kind of, diminished with us all not being in person. So it changed to new formats. It changed a lot of Zoom meditation groups or other groups online to work with people. But I think, it's changed me, because it doesn't only just influence how I am out in the world and operating in a sense of how can I potentially be of service or helping other people, et cetera, but also just within myself and how I can draw on the practices that I've learned through all of those different religions and all of the different modalities and things that I've studied as well. So it just feels like it gives me a larger toolbox. And I'm able to, like, sort of, if one thing's not working, I'm able to go to the toolbox and grab something else from it and say, you know what, I'm going to try this for a little while and see if this helps me process something, heal something, uncover something new.
Beautiful. And the final question, what is important for our members to know about you?
I guess one of the exciting things is like you mentioned that I have a book coming out in just 3 weeks from tomorrow, which is really exciting. It was a big labor of love, a lot of tears, sweat, joy, love put into that. It's part memoir, also part sort of self-help, or as they call kind of a teaching memoir. And so that's a really important thing for me, because it's scary and vulnerable to put yourself out there into a book that's, it's basically like, as I mentioned, I came out a lot of years ago, and coming out now is like on a national stage in a way. Who knows who will pick up the book or who will see it, and there's a nervousness to it, but also a big level of excitement and expansion and hope that it touches people's lives and helps me continue to heal, and also potentially helps other people heal. And that's my hope, is that, people will find themselves in my story, even though they might think that they won't. And I think storytelling has such power, and that we've sort of lost sight of that, and our ability to heal each other in a way through our stories and our shared, communion in that.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. And it has certainly been a pleasure to spend these brief moments with you. And thank you for joining us today. And that's this very first installation of Getting to Know You, as we step into getting to know each other here in the Interfaith Ministers Alliance. So thank you all for joining us today, and we will see you in a couple of weeks for our next Getting to Know You session. Have a beautiful day.